Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress, live Wednesday night podcast. You know, every Wednesday night when you see this face, we have a great resource, organization, or something to share with you that's going to make a huge difference in Rhode Island for many Rhode Islanders, and we are so excited about that. Tonight is no different. Tonight we are speaking to the women from the Coalition to End Homelessness, and I cannot wait to share their stories and share how you, Rhode Islanders, can give a hand and help out this great organization. So welcome, ladies, and thank you so much for taking the time to joining us tonight. I am so excited to get right into this tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you each to introduce yourself and tell us your connection to the Coalition to End Homelessness. Yanni, I'm going to ask you to go first.
My name is Yanine. I'm a community organizer with the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness. I've been with the coalition since last year.
Good evening, everybody. My first name is Diamond. I've been with the coalition for over 10 years now for Voice of Homelessness. I also volunteer at Matheson Street Church.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Wendy Thomas, and I volunteered at the Coalition for the Homeless for at least 10 years. I'm also a member of Tenderloin Opera Company and also have done a lot of volunteer work at Matheson Street Church and throughout the community, just to help people and listen to people, try to direct them in the right areas that they need to go to get help.
Thank you so much for everything that you do. Yanine, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about the coalition and what they do to serve Rhode Island homelessness.
The Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness, previously known as the Rhode Island Coalition for the Homeless, started a few years back. We've been here for a few decades now. We are a coalition in partnership with other service providers, specifically folks that service the homeless population. We work collaboratively together to see a Rhode Island where there is no one that experiences homelessness. So that is working in policy and a lot of advocacy work and working amongst the communities truly to help out our homeless neighbors.
That's awesome. And you are a 501c3, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's always a great thing when you have a 501c3. That means any donation that you make is a tax deduction. So make sure that you are reaching out to them and you are making a donation to help them further their cause. Wendy, I'm going to ask you to tell us your story a little bit and to tell us how you became to help out with homelessness and how others can overcome it.
I am formerly homeless. I lost my house 2 times in a fire. We lost absolutely everything we owned. It was me and my 3 kids and my 2 grandchildren the second time. And I'm just basically trying to give back for what they've done for me, try to help others that have been through or are going through what I have been through. And I'm also here to break the misconceptions that all homeless people are drug addicts and alcoholics and mentally ill.
Yeah, I truly believe that nobody wakes up one day and say, when I grow up, I want to be homeless. That's not the case. Anybody at any rate, at any monetary value can end up in homelessness for any reason whatsoever. So no, I mean, there is no stigmatism to it because tomorrow it could be you or a loved one. So we're here to help to make sure that you know where all of the resources are, that if it does happen to you, you know how to pull yourself out of it and you know that you're not alone and that there are others to help you. Diamond, can you tell us a little bit about your story and how this all affects you?
My story is a little bit different. I was born, people say they were born into addiction or born and stuff. I was born into homelessness. My mother had me when she was 13 years old. I'm 50 something now, and I'm just now learning how to get on my feet. I suffered a lot when I was out there, but I also gained a lot of knowledge. You know, like Wendy says, just because we were homeless, you know, doesn't mean that when we were going through that we weren't smart, we weren't educated. I have a high school diploma. You know, I'm very intelligent, I'm very smart, you know. I love to learn, but I also suffer from drug abuse and mental health issues. And how I got into the coalition was through Wendy, because we were roommates at the shelter, and they asked me to sign up for a housing voucher, which they're hard to get out here. And I was one of 500. And when I got it, I was in a hospital, and it was either get my voucher or don't get my voucher and stay homeless. I chose to sign myself out of the hospital to get my voucher. And that's why I came on board with the coalition.
That is an amazing story. I mean, to have to make the decision of staying in the hospital to get the services that you need, or have a roof over your head when you can finally go home, that needs to change. How do we change that? How do we fix that? How do we advocate for that? Anybody want to jump in and answer that?
I think the workers at Rhode Island Housing have to have a little more compassion and understand if these are people are in a situation like that, they need a couple of more days. They need to stay there and get better first and then sign for it. So they don't lose their voucher in the process, is what I'm trying
Right.
to say.
So Yanine, tell me a little bit about the process of how you help somebody who comes to you for services. Like, what is some of the processes that they would go through?
Right. Well, I want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to the outreach workers who are on the streets and are trying to look and assist our folks who are experiencing homelessness and are living in places not meant for habitation. They do a lot of that firsthand response and work. And so those frontline workers are super critical in a lot of the work that we do in terms of diversion and getting folks to the programs that they are qualified for. So I would say, in my experience from being outside and volunteering on outreach walks, typically one, goes in a group of some other trained outreach workers. A lot of these folks, volunteers, are social work interns, folks that eventually want to work in this field and be a part of our amazing crew of service providers, right, that we work in partnership with at the coalition. And when we see someone who is living outside, we try to just check up on, see how they're feeling in that moment. There could be a lot happening, they're going through something, they're in survival mode. It's super important to come with a lot of compassion and empathy, because the situation, imagine if you were in, would you want to be treated right? So a lot of folks are really mindful in this space, and there's a lot of training, for whatever situations may occur, because you do see a lot of things on these outreach walks. So you want to be prepared. Oftentimes you may get caught off guard with, such one of those strangest situations, right? But it's always great to just go with other people. And once you're connected with an outreach workers provide numerous different things, right? They can't automatically provide, keys to a home, but they can provide the first steps to getting there. And a lot of that comes with just simple documentation and paperwork. A lot of folks living outside do not have social security cards, IDs, things like that would be essential to getting a job, or getting a place to live, or even just applying for different social benefit programs, right? So that's where our outreach workers come in. They help kind of with the application process, apply, get it in. It's really hard for folks that are living outside to make appointments and get there, especially if they don't have any means of transportation. So again, outreach workers do the biggest lift for folks that are living outside and do that, bureaucracy work, I say, because it's already too much to have to be outside and find where you're going to live, what you're going to eat next, I thank our partners, our service providers, for truly doing the frontline work of outreach and finding our homeless neighbors.
That's such a great point that you made that I want to reiterate to our general public that is listening tonight. A lot of people will say, why don't the homeless just go get a job or whatever? But if they don't have the proper identification or documentation, you can't get a job. If you don't have an address for the place to call you to tell you you have the job, how do you, apply for the job? How do you get the job? So it's so important for people to understand that they have to go through the process before they can actually get the keys to a place or to get to the job that they need to get to. Diamond, was it hard for you? Well, I mean, you told us that you ended up, being born into homelessness, and now you're 50, just trying to get on your feet now. What was the kind of some of the processes or the things that you saw? Like, how hard was it for you to reach out to get the help that you needed along the way?
For me, it was hard for me because, like I said, I have drug addiction in my background. I've been clean now for a long time, but I have mental health issues too. And I think of a lot of it was when I was in the shelter. It was, you know, for me, rules are meant for everybody, not one rule for one person and another rule for another person. If you're going to tell somebody something, it needs to be straight across the board. And I didn't understand that for me, I was like, well, for instance, like I was one that tried to work, like when we tried to work when we were in the shelter. But if I forgot to call them or bring them a letter to let them know that I was out working late at night, I would have to sleep either outside or I would have to sleep in the upstairs community room. So it wasn't like I had my own bed when I was in the shelter. It was, I had to make a conscious decision what was safe and what would be healthier for me. Do I take being inside of a shelter, or do I go try to find somewhere outside in a bush where nobody knows where I'm at for the night?
Yeah, isn't it? I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it that if you're going to a shelter, you have to be out by 7 o'clock in the morning, but if you're not back by 7 o'clock at night, you lose your bed and they give
Yeah.
it to somebody else. So if you're trying to get a job and you want to go to work at a Walmart or a Lowe's and they happen to have the night shift open or later hours, you lose your bed in the shelter. So again, it's, do you choose to be safe and have your bed at the shelter, or do you choose to get a job and make money? Because not everybody can work first shift. Not everybody has jobs available, especially if you're somebody fighting, mental health conditions or drug addictions or other issues that they may hire you for later shifts or for different positions and not put you in the day job. So that's a hard decision for people to make, the security of having a bed every night or a job to pay the bills to hopefully get out of it. Wendy, how do you overcome some of that? And what suggestion would you make to change that?
Well, it depends on what shelter you're in too, because I know when I was volunteering on my church food truck, and all I had to do was give them a letter saying that I would be late on those 4 nights a week that I did that. So it depends on what shelter you're in. They will save you beds if they have a letter at some shelters. The women's shelter was like pretty good about that. But we can't take third shift jobs. We can't take third shift jobs because we can't sleep in the daytime. We can't take second shift jobs because there's no transportation. Buses usually stopped by the time they get out of work, so they can't get to the shelter. So there's a lot of barriers there. And the people that are out sleeping outside, they have no place to get a shower and get clean and do laundry and all of that. So there's another reason why they can't get jobs. There's just so much. So every person's story is different. So you can't say to everybody, just get a job and get out of homelessness, because everybody's different.
Yeah. And it's so true. Everybody's story is different. And like, you don't get to pick and choose what shelter you go to. Hopefully you could, but with it being so slim and picking, especially in the winter time, when there's not a lot of beds and not a lot of shelters, you don't have that choice either. So it's not as easy as everybody thinks. And again, I want to reiterate, nobody chooses. No one wakes up one day and says, I think I want to be homeless. That's not the case. That's not what it's all about. And you need to understand and realize that, and the general public needs to help. If you have a job, if you have a business, reach out to some of these shelters, see if you can employ some of the people that they have there, because they all want to work. They all want to, make a living, and they all want to get out there. So offer a job, work with the shelters, work with somebody like the Coalition to End Homelessness, work with them to see if you could do some job pairing and, work with people to get that option. I mean, the other thing that I want to bring up, and Yanine, I'm going to see if you can answer this, and then I'm going to ask the other two ladies. RAMP just donated 175 walkers, wheelchairs, and canes to those experiencing homelessness. Because what I want to reiterate to people is disabled people experience homelessness too. And a lot of the shelters or, some of the food banks are in bottom basements of churches, or they're just not accessible, or they can't fit your chair or the needs that you have. So they really have nowhere to go and then if you're a couple or part of a family, you have to go to the women or the men's shelter. There's no family shelters or couple shelters. So now you're disabled and you have to split from the one and only person who knows how to take care of you. That's another scary thing and another choice a lot of people don't know how to make. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Well, the first thing I want to say is if you are someone who is seeking shelter or experiencing homelessness, please call the coordinated entry line, also nicknamed CES. The phone number is 401-277-4316. They are open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And holidays and weekends from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. There are languages that can be covered are English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Haitian Creole. So please, 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 if you're seeking shelter, call coordinated entry line. They are able to provide you more information and resources on where you can find shelter or apply for temporary housing of some kind. There are so many programs out there. It's so hard for just one individual to find it all. I truly believe that coordinated entry system is the first place folks should go, because if anything, you can always call back a month later and see if anything's changed, or if your waitlist status has moved up, or something like that. Or I think it's just a great hub to be connected to other resources, right? 211 is also another great number to call. But yeah, so I'm sorry, I just had to mention that in case folks knew that. What was the question again?
About the people who are disabled, or, where they can't pick and choose, or family shelters because they have to split men or women along the way.
Of course. So shelter is scarce right now. There are not enough shelters right now to fully give beds to folks that are currently experiencing homelessness. And homelessness looks very diverse in a lot of different situations, right? Because it could be just, someone living in their car, or couch surfing, where it's not technically outside, but, you are experiencing homelessness, right? So for folks that are disabled, Diamond can probably speak more on this. It's a lot harder, to be placed right in the proper shelter bed that you need, because there are so many different types of shelter beds, right? For, women and children, for men specific, for folks who are registered sex offenders. It's hard to navigate it all. So that's why I just wanted to mention CS. For folks that are experiencing that are currently disabled, if you are experiencing homelessness, CES should be able to also provide further resources in terms of where certain shelters may have wheelchair accessibility. I know you had mentioned that you had this donation come in. If possible, I think that there is a way for us to be able to maybe pair up with some great folks at like Matthewson Church, where they already run a clothing drive. So folks do come in. They do have a population of folks that experience homeless that come in regularly, for supper time, I believe, and for the clothes. I believe that that's another place for folks, if they want to bring donations, please bring them there, but also to the appropriate person. So I'll just mention Kevin Simon, who works at Matthewson Church. Definitely get connected with him for further donations. But I know that the experience, I have never experienced homelessness, and nor am I disabled, so I can never experience that. However, I believe that at the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness, we truly want to work intersectionally to make sure that any person experiencing homelessness is counted and is also provided the proper resources that they need, because that is the second part, right? Is not only just finding people that need help, but also giving them the right help, right? Because some folks, may need rehab, not. Some folks have children and some don't. I think that being able to provide the adequate resources are necessary, but also those resources also need to be available and created, right? So we're always advocating for expanding resources.
Great, thank you so much. Diamond, we were talking before the show a little bit of some of the work that you're involved in. Can you share that with us?
Yes, I'm involved with, right now, currently, I'm just involved with Matheson Street Church, which is 134 Matheson Street. Sunday mornings, we have a clothing
Is that in
room.
Providence? I just don't want to interrupt. That is in Providence,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's in Providence. It's right across from Hotel Providence. We have
Okay.
a clothing room downstairs for men and women. We also have a slight food pantry downstairs and non-perishable stuffs. One thing I can say about the church is that we just became wheelchair and handicap accessible. So if anybody that needs to
Yay!
come there, we have the elevator service that they can actually ride up in the elevator or with a walker.
That is incredible, because I'll tell you, what people don't understand, that if I was to go homeless, which I was 28 days from it, because only for the mere fact that I couldn't find a place that was accessible for a family to live in. There's no wheelchair accessible homes out there or stock out there. And that's half of Rhode Island. Half of Rhode Island uses some kind of mobility devices, and we have no stock for wheelchair accessible homes out and about in the community. I don't want to live in a manor with my son or my service dogs. I don't want to live in a high rise. I want to live in a home. I want to live in a community. I want to make a difference. But I was 28 days, but I can't couch surf because I can't get into any of my family or friends' homes because of my wheelchair. When you're disabled, you don't even have that option, that it's either your own place or the street. There is no in between. Wendy, can you talk a little bit about that, or have you met or encountered anybody that had that barrier?
Back in 2012, I actually did. I had to have a hip replacement in 2012, so I was on a walker for quite a few years. And even the buses are really bad for walkers and wheelchairs and stuff. But we had a friend of ours, he's gone now, but it was an electric wheelchair. But we accommodated those people too, because we took the meals to them. They were outside, but we took them to them, which
Right.
isn't as good as being cooled off for a little while in summer or coming in and getting warm in the winter. But we did try to accommodate them. I did
Right.
Friday nights when they were open. They haven't reopened yet. Hopefully with Sunday open, now we'll be opening soon. So yeah, it's a tough road for a lot of places, and some of the shelters aren't even handicap accessible,
No, and
unfortunately.
I've done a tour of a bunch of them, and they're not. You know what I mean? They're not. And the newer ones that they open, they miss that accommodation. And I mean, it's not like it's a cushy accommodation for us. We want bare minimum that we can roll in out of the heat, out of the cold, out of somewhere. It's like I said, think about it, 175 walkers, wheelchairs, and canes that we donated. How many are out there that still don't have one, or have one but can't get in anywhere or can't get out anywhere? That these are all things that we need to talk about. I want to talk about 401 gives. You guys are registered for 401 gives. Give us your plea of why people should choose to donate to the Coalition for the Homeless.
I think the best reason I can say would be to help us at the coalition would be because every dollar or every percent of whatever is brought in, it goes back to the street. Like I did 2 years ago, I did a clothing drive with the coalition and the state house, and everything that came in went straight back. Plus, I was using different organizations with like groups with kids, people that were coming out of prison. I was helping them out. There's a halfway house in Pawtucket. I was helping them out with stuff. Everybody today just needs a little help. If we could just give a little bit of help to one person, you don't know how much that could change people's life. Everybody else talk about there's faith of a mustard seed. Well, how about have faith of somebody that's homeless, that's trying to get out of being homeless, or somebody who's finally getting out of it and getting an apartment, but they suffer with some type of addiction or something. Just be there to listen to them. Don't just push them away, because you don't know what's going to happen when you push them away. Your one word you say to them could save their life for that day.
You can make a difference in somebody's life by just showing them a smile. You see all of these donation bins out and about, that people leave tons of clothes. Bring them downtown, bring them to the shelters, bring them to Woonsocket, bring it directly to a shelter. That way, those clothes are not going to be resold. They're not going to be mocked up. They're not going to go to the wrong people. They're going to be freely delivered to the homeless on the street who need it. Take the extra steps. If you have a car, pick up some of those bags that you see hanging outside in the weather, put them in your car and bring them down to a shelter. Give us the address again, Diamond, of where they can drop off those clothes down where you work.
I'm at 134 Mathewson Street, Providence, Rhode Island. It's right across from Hotel Providence. And if I could make a simple plea, Teen, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I just, I got guys that are with me now that come there every week. If we were going to ask for a gift today for something, I would ask for people to, if you could donate sweatpants from extra large to 3Xs, because I have guys that have like sores on their legs or stuff like that they can't wear regular pants. And me going to Attleboro, places like that, I just went. I got a guy one pair of sweatpants, but I'm thankful for that. So this man has 2 pairs of sweatpants now. Imagine that this was you in that situation where you only have maybe 2 pairs of sweatpants or 1 shirt, but you want to take a shower and you want to try to get a job, but you don't have the right stuff.
Right.
Think about us that are listening, about us being in that situation and praying that somebody was there that, could help us change what we're going through at that moment. Because what really does homeless look like?
Absolutely. Homeless looks like everybody, everywhere. And the thing is how sad is it that somebody is grateful because they have 2 pairs of pants? You know what I mean? And how happy that made them to have 2 pairs of pants. You know what I mean? So it doesn't take nothing. Go down to your local job lot. They have sweatpants at the local job lot for $1 to $2. Go pick up a bunch of pairs and drop them off down in Providence to Diamond. And, let's take care of these gentlemen and let's make sure that they have, if you have old work clothes that you're getting rid of because either you gained the COVID-19 or you lost the COVID-19, because I see friends on either side, they either gained the 20 pounds or lost the 20 pounds or more, donate those clothes, because those old work clothes that you have make great interview outfits for those trying to get a job or for, young people. So all sizes are welcome. All clothing is welcome. Just take it to a shelter. Like I said, if you can get it in a bin, it's great because those bins do go to good people. But if you're going to leave it on the outside, drive it to a shelter. Drive it to somebody it's going to go to the right person. It's going to go to the right place, and it's going to make all the difference in the world. You're going to make another guy very happy because he might have a 3rd pair of pants. You kind of giggle about it a little bit, but it's sad to know that, because I'll tell you, we were donating wheels to wheelchairs because we had a gentleman who was riding around in a wheelchair that had a dented wheel. It's like trying to take a square wheel and roll down the street, with all the potholes in Rhode Island. How sad is that? That, fixing his tire, he thanked us beyond words, and it wasn't even necessary to thank us. It was what we do. Wendy, can you think of some other places that people can drive down and donate some clothes, like maybe Woonsocket area or Central Falls area?
Yeah,
Can you think of some other places?
Pretty much any soup kitchen, any shelter will take them. The bigger sizes are the most needed usually, because the smalls, mediums are the most donated sizes that we get. Woonsocket has oh shoot, I can't even think of the name of it now. They have a shelter out there for families, and they have one for women. Oh, Middletown has a family shelter out there. We have a family shelter in Providence. So there are kids' clothes are needed in some places also. So yeah, just anywhere, any of the soup kitchens. I mean, and it's not just the homeless people. People that live on a very low income, but yet have their own place, end up going to the soup kitchens. They end up going to these places and getting clothes for themselves, their children, their families,
I was
because
just on
they
a
need that extra help.
Yeah, I was just on a call today talking about that exact thing, that, I mean, this rent relief program and everything that they have. I said, disabled people, for one, I know, will beg, borrow, and steal to make sure that their rent is paid, because losing housing is detrimental because there's no stock. If I lost my house right now, there is no place that me and my wheelchair can go. So I may go without medication or fixing my wheelchair, or without food, to make sure that my rent is paid. But yet I'm missing all of the other services, and I may not have clothes or detergent or anything to wash my clothes. So you're right. It's not just for the people who are living on the street experience homelessness. It's the people who were blessed enough to find a place and a roof over their head, that they're doing everything that they can to keep it, that they may need that extra help for food and for clothing, so that they can pay their rent and stay where they are and not have to be out on the street again. There are so many ways. Give us the website again of where people can go to find the resources. Give us the phone numbers and give us the contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll definitely mention that the coalition has our own website, which is rihomeless.org/help, if you wanted to go directly towards the help section. But what I referred to earlier was our coordinated entry system. The phone number for that is 401-277-4316. The hours for that is from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and from 2 to 9 on weekends. I do also want to say that, Voices of Homelessness, you've heard from Diamond and Wendy. They are both speakers with the Voices of Homelessness, which is a group that is managed by the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness. And it's, it's a team of Rhode Islanders who have each experienced homelessness and now share their respective stories to raise awareness and to advocate for change. If you are interested, if you are someone who has experienced homelessness or was on the verge of homelessness, we would love to hear your story, because I think ultimately we can think about 1,000 different solutions to homelessness, right? But it ultimately comes down to our neighbors, if they even want to have that help in their city or town or in their neighborhood, because a lot of folks are against, more shelters, right? But then it's like, where do we house folks? And then we think of affordable housing, and then some folks are like, no, I don't want affordable housing because it'll lower my real estate costs. And it comes down to, we have to destigmatize what is homelessness, what is the help that that comes with it, because I think a lot of it is just stigma. People just stigmatize folks who are experiencing homelessness. And as you've heard so far, Diamond and Wendy, they're no different from any other friends or coworkers we may know of, so I think it's super important that we all elevate the consciousness of what it's like to just be in a struggle, and how sometimes all we need is a helping hand, extra sweatpants from a clothing drive, or a can of beans from food pantry.
Yeah, nobody's looking for a handout. Everybody is looking for a hand up. And there is no city or town in this state, from Woonsocket, Burrville, Foster, Central Falls to Newport, Narragansett, and Middletown, that does not experience homelessness. So no matter whether you think that, oh, I live in Newport, there's no homeless out there. They live by the water. They have all of these mansions. That's great. Go to certain places in Newport and you're going to see the homeless out on the street. You're going to see them out there experiencing homelessness. So homelessness can happen to anyone at any time. You could be sitting high on the horse today and something happened Look at me. I walked into a 5-minute procedure and ended up in the disability community in 5 minutes. The money and everything, my job went away, my health went away, my family and friends went away because now I'm disabled in a wheelchair and I'm more trouble to take away. It could happen to anybody for no fault of anybody's own, but telling your story and sharing your story with somebody else, number one, makes them not feel alone. It makes them feel that they can identify with somebody else. So sharing your story. So Wendy and Diamond, thank you so much for sharing your story, because you don't know how many people out there that you're helping just by hearing what you're going through and realizing that you can get to the other side and that they're not alone, that there are people out there. So share your story. And on 401 Gives Day, it's a day of all of Rhode Island nonprofits to get donations. Don't just give to the big organizations. The big organizations get grants, gets businesses, gets the people out there that are already experiencing money. Help the little guys, help the little nonprofits that are boots on the ground, making the difference every day. Donate to the coalition, Experience Homelessness. I messed that whole title up, but you know what I meant. My tongue tie just came out of that one out of nowhere. But donate to this cause, donate to RAMP. All of us organizations, we work together. Everybody has a friend, and none of our nonprofits are going to make it without your help and without each other. I help out the Coalition to End Homelessness by helping the disabled population, or getting donations or putting their stories out there. We all need each other. We need to help each other. And before it happens to you or a loved one, making sure you are reaching out and you are having your voice heard and you're making a difference to somebody else. Wendy, give your best plea of why you believe somebody should be supporting this cause and getting involved.
Because during the homeless pandemic, so many people lost their homes. We need people to help that. We're trying to help these people. We're trying to find it. If anybody, even if you know a landlord that will take Section 8, we need those homes. We need the money to get these people in these homes, because getting these people in these homes is just a start for them. They need everything. They need pots and pans, dishes, beds, clothes, sheets, towels, anything. And all of that stuff is needed desperately for those that go into. You don't want to live in a place that doesn't have anything.
Yeah. There are so many sites on Facebook, free this, free that, free this. How about if you drive it down to a homeless shelter and donate it to somebody that it's not going to be resold? It's not going to, go to somebody who doesn't appreciate as much as, if somebody got excited over 2 pairs of pants, imagine if they gave them a pot and a pan and a hot plate to actually cook their own dinner or to, take care of themselves. Or if you're a landlord and you accept Section 8, it's guaranteed money. Section 8 pays at the beginning of the month. So, you may think it's not, but it's guaranteed money to you. So why wouldn't you take it? You get a couple of people to room together if you got a 2 or 3 bedroom, and you're guaranteed your money. And they'll take care of it and they'll be appreciative of it, because trust me, nobody wants to live out on the streets in these New England winters. Trust me, it's cold. And I think about everybody, that's out there. Well, I have a roof over my head. So make a difference. Diamond, it's your turn. I want you to give your plea and let everybody know why they should volunteer and why they should get involved.
You'll never know if it's going to happen to you until it happens to you. You'll never know if it's a family member. When you put a stigmatism out there, and then all of a sudden it's your family member, all of a sudden you want to jump to help. Help now before it gets too late. Like, people need so much help right now. It's a new kind of homelessness, I could say, from when I was homeless out there. And this type of homeless, I can say, I'm scared for them because they were already homeless. Like Wendy said, they already went through a pandemic. And they're still outside, sleeping outside. So simple things you have that you don't care about in your house. Just, I have this blanket, let me just throw this here. Bring it to Coalition, bring it to Matheson Street Church, bring it to a shelter. right now, the weather's changing. Me personally, I know, speaking for what I do, we don't have any blankets. I give from my heart to these people. We at the coalition, we get a lot of stuff and it's right out there. We don't have right now. So the outreach teams are getting ready to go out. These are simple things people need: socks, blankets. It's a little chilly, hand warmers. Those little things you put together and you rub them, whatever you call those crazy things in the winter, for your hand warmers. The most simplest stuff is going to be needed again because these people are going to be out because this 30th of this month, the hotels are closing that had these people in them. So it's time to step up now. We should have stepped up a long time ago, but it's now time to step up now. Landlords, please, people that have rooms, please get in touch with people like you guys so that we can get these people into these places so they don't have to spend another night outside on the street. Because you don't know what it's like out there unless you're really out there with nothing. No phone, no clean clothes, no bank card, no money, no nothing. You are literally a sitting duck if you're out there with nothing.
It's scary. Yeah, and the sad part is if you have money, donate money. If you don't have money, but you need to clean out your house because you're a hoarder or you just got a ton of extra stuff, go through your closet. We all have stuff that doesn't fit us. We're saving those skinny pants for the miracle day that we may actually lose the 30 pounds to get back in them. Or, we got the larger pants because we lost a lot of weight that we're hanging around just in case we put all of the weight back on again. Clean out your closet, donate them to a shelter. You don't have to spend money to help. Donate of your time. Pack up a few lunches. Make some peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Throw an apple. Throw some candy. Throw some stuff in a bag. Some deodorant, a toothbrush, toothpaste. Throw it in a bag and ride around. Take your kids with you. Teach your kids empathy. Teach your kids that this happens to people. Have them going out and going around and show them what it's like to put a smile on somebody's face when you hand them a bag lunch and a blanket and a toothbrush or a thing of deodorant. There's so many ways that you can get out there and you can volunteer and you can give of your time, you can give of your stuff that we all have way too much of, or you can give of your money, but give of something. Give back, because be blessed for what you have, because there's so many people. We all complain about, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. There are people that wishes they had more than 2 pairs of pants. There are people out there that wishes they had a toothbrush and a toothpaste and a roof over their head and someplace to lay their head with their family, that they feel safe and they're not looking over their shoulder every 5 minutes. Is somebody going to mug me? Is someone going to hurt me? Or is somebody going to steal from me? Nobody wants this life. Nobody wants to live this life. You may think that they do, they don't. Help them, reach out, make a difference. If you're a business, hire somebody. If you're a landlord, rent to somebody. If you're somebody with means or you have connections with Social Security or documents, get out there on the street, find out the information and help somebody, guide them through the process. They don't have a phone to do it themselves, so you can help them do it along the way. I know I'm on my soapbox right now, but give us that website, give us that phone number again, make sure that we're letting people know how to contact you.
Absolutely. So the coalition's website is rihomeless.org. You can also go to the Coordinated Entry Systems website, which is cesri.info. The phone number for CES is 401-277-4316. Please get in touch with the proper resources that you need to survive. I think that's the biggest thing. But if you are in a position to now help or give back, as much as, yes, monetary value is great, and we can use it to do so many different things, right? So printing, flyers, or getting, volunteer t-shirts, right? Or to even like help fund clothing drives, right? So that we can continuously, help out our community and give back. I would appreciate, yes, people's time, because I think that, like I mentioned earlier, Voices of Homelessness is a great group of volunteer speakers, but we need other advocates and activists, not just for our supporter or for our speakers and out in the community, but we also need you at the State House, for policy reform and change. We know that homelessness is here, and currently there are no solutions to end it, right? So we need to make sure that the homelessness system works well enough so that folks, when they do experience homelessness, it's short, it's quick, and it's one time, right? But in order to see that kind of future in our system, we have to advocate for certain reform in our government, right? And that's advocating for more rehab programs, perhaps, or advocating for more shelter for the LGBTQ community. There is a variety of different forms of advocacy actions that we can take on behalf of folks experiencing homelessness. So if you are interested in more of that work, please contact me, Yanine. I'm the community organizer for the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness. My email is yanine@rihomeless.org. I'd be more than happy to create an army of folks who are ready to destigmatize homelessness and help to see the change that we need to see for a future where, if people do experience homelessness, it's short, it's one time.
Yeah, so I mean, until we abolish homelessness, because having a home shouldn't be an extracurricular activity, it should be a right. It should be a basic human right to have a roof over your head and to have a place to call home and lay your head on a safe pillow every night. Wendy and Diamond, you are my heroes. I truly am so honored to know both of you, and to hear your stories and to see how you put yourselves out there to help others. So thank you so much for everything that you do. Yanni, everything that you do at the coalition, I thank you. Like I said, donate money, donate your extra stuff that you have. We all have it. Don't say you don't, because we know you do. Make a couple of bag lunches, get out there, make a difference, get out there and volunteer, make a donation, but let's help our neighbors. Let's help somebody else. Because like I said, if that was you tomorrow that is out there, you would want somebody to reach out a hand and help them up. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. And that's what we want to. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining us tonight and telling your stories. We have all of the information down in the comments. So the phone numbers, the websites, and all the contact information is in the comments. If you forget and you don't know anything, message me, because I know how to get in touch with these ladies. I know how to put you in touch with these ladies, and I know where to send you so these ladies can take your donations and can take your volunteer time and can put you to work, because we all need that. So reach out to me and I will put you in contact with them if you can't find any other contact information. So thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. I really appreciate your stories and your time, and I look forward to working with you going forward. And if there's anything else that you need, please reach out to me and I will be more than happy to lend a hand, to lend my services, and to lend my organization to help you guys in any way I possibly can. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would like to take a moment to invite everybody back here next Wednesday night. We will be talking to the ARC and all that they do across the country and in Rhode Island for the disabled community. So right back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. And as I always say, we can make a difference in this world, each and every single one of us. So don't just sit there, make a difference. Have a great night. See you next week.